Welcome to the Story Tinker Podcast, a place for in-depth analysis of webtoon stories. Co-hosted by sharp, witty, and dare I say thirsty fans, we dive deep into every episode, analyzing character struggles, relationship development, and of course, theories. You can follow the Story Tinker on YouTube, podcast platforms, and social media. For bonus content, sneak peeks, and more, you can support the Story Tinker on Patreon. We are really appreciative of your likes, subscribes, and follows on all platforms. Thank you for listening to the Story Tinker, and let's get started. Record. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 85 of Midday Poppyland on the Story Tinker. And today we have two new co-hosts and one co-host who's been here once before, so it's a fresh crew. And I let these ladies say hi and introduce themselves. I guess we'll do alphabetical order. So Brianna.
Hi, Brianna. I'm 30. I'm married with one child, and I'm currently a stay-at-home mom. And I found Midnight Poppyland through the classic Lore Olympus, led me to Webtoons rabbit hole.
You know, a lot of people have said that Lore Olympus was like their gateway drug.
Mm-hmm. It was marketed.
It was for sure.
All right, Emily.
I'm Emily. I'm 26. I live in Nashville. I work as an editor. And I started reading Midnight Poppyland, I think maybe last May. It was around the start of the pandemic. And it was just the best form of escape you could find back then. And I'm happy to
Yay. I'm Lily. I am not Lily Dusk. So for those listening to the audio, I am not her. I wish I was. Just happen to have the same name. I'm 32. I live in Austin. I'm married and have two Pomeranian puppies, and I work as a registered nurse. I found Midnight Poppyland also through Lore Olympus. I agree, it was very well advertised. Always loved Hades and Persephone. And then just like spiraled through, found Ashura's Bride first, fell in love with it, and then found Midnight Poppyland, and I'm now obsessed.
Oh, yep, that's all of us.
All of us, yes.
Word. Yep. All right, well, Brianna will be starting us off.
So the last episode we ended with with Tora finding the sensor alert thing. And so now he's standing on his bridge after he's lost his trail of Gil. He's saying, "You got to be kidding me." And he's kind of thinking it can't be Gil. His trail led him out of the city, likely boarded a long distance train. And until more footage is leaked, there's no other reason for her to be a target. And then where did he say? He said something about waiting for word for one of his other guys, and I didn't realize Tora is really putting his whole kind of squad on this.
Isn't it Elron?
Yeah, Elron.
We're not sure who that is, maybe? I don't know.
Doesn't that what his text messages said? Elron?
Elron.
So I'm pretty sure he's mentioned Pinky, Gyu, and Elron are all involved.
Yeah, and we're kind of assuming maybe Elron is Brian, like his code word for Brian. Because it kind of sounds like Brian, and
that's a good point.
And everyone
about that.
Yeah, and we were thinking that maybe he doesn't want, if his phone is confiscated, he doesn't want people's real names to be there, protect them, and everyone kind of has a name that's similar to their
code
name,
name.
but not exactly.
That makes sense.
But I think that was kind of cool because you can Poppy at the beginning was his dirty little secret, and then it was just oh my lord, what's his name? His friend.
Quincy?
Quincy, yes. Of all names I forget. So only Quincy that knew about her. And then they had the party, and then because he beat the crap out of the guy for even mentioning the possibility of her existence, and now his whole crew knows about her, and they're all involved in whatever the deal is with Gil. And so that's interesting that he really has he's kind of just let it happen. I guess this is happening now. She's involved. There's no avoiding it. And I mean, there's the notebook part of it. So that's kind of the obvious piece of the puzzle of why she evolved. But it's interesting that he's kind of just like let some slack in the line on that one.
Mhm. I think also he didn't trust Yadori at all, but he does trust his crew to know about popping.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so he's definitely like he's thinking about it super hard. Like, who's messing with the sensor? What is it? And he says, "What if it's just some fucking bird?" And then you see like a little chibi of Poppy trying to choose some bird. Apparently, that's a real bird, which is hilarious.
I had to look that up.
Yeah, I had to Google it too, and it looks like a cartoon in real life.
It totally does.
Yeah, it looks like a drawing in real life.
It's crazy. It's like the most insane thing I've ever seen. You know how like truth is stranger than fiction? It's like, you know, or like when you see these like underwater deep sea creatures, they look insane. Like I was shocked.
It's just funny that that's the bird Lily chose.
Mhm.
Because I would be terrified if that was on my balcony. And it did not dawn on me until Lily said it about the big cock.
Oh my goodness. I did not get it.
Like that's
Thank you. I literally did not get it.
look at
Thank you.
Tora
I was wondering why she dressed
Rooster.
up. Okay.
Yeah, that was my Patreon comment. Big cock energy.
Oh yes. I didn't get through all the Patreon comments yet. Sorry.
So then she's like, "Tora, help, there's a funny looking bird dancing at my balcony. I'll forgive you now if you help me chase it away." And then it's like, there can only be one alpha in the coop, which is
Or does not look like it right now.
that's totally this whole thing to me. And then you see him like flapping him off, and Poppy's like, "Get him!" And then he's laughing himself, and that's classic like car thoughts. You know what I mean? Like driving along by yourself, and you're just having this whole little like you're doing this whole little skit in your own head.
Yeah,
and
shower thoughts too. It's like car and shower thoughts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but he's just kind of like, "Oh, I'm so funny," like cracking himself up.
It is
And
really cute.
He's so cute. Ugh.
Also, he wishes it was that easy to get Poppy's forgiveness because he knows he's
Right,
in
yes.
trouble.
and so like that's definitely like best case scenario for him is like, please just let me be a bird and she'll forgive me. And then you see like the literal, he like snaps back to reality. So he says, "Christ, now's not the time to be clowning off. She's mad at me for sure, but should I call and explain now? Will she even pick up a second time? Whatever, I gotta secure her safety first. I'll tell her everything I'm supposed to when I'm here." And then you get the nice little vroom.
And oh my gosh, by the way, as he was saying this, I was like, call her. And I was right. You should have called her ASAP. Oh.
I think he did try to call her and she ignored it. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong.
No, yeah, it sounds like he's just contemplating again and he decided not to.
Yes.
Bad boy.
So maybe this is like my own issues, but to this point, I'm still kind of like, I don't get why she's so mad. You know what I mean? Because like really all he kind of did like was snap at her and run off.
And
that was
that's okay.
Yeah, and he didn't pick her up when he promised.
Right. And so I will say good for Poppy, because after all of the jewelry nonsense, she's nipping it in the bud early. But I guess maybe I'm guessing that would be like something is happening, because up until now Tora's never really given me an inkling that he would act like that, and she knows that he's some kind of mafia related. So I think that's the first place my mind would go, is like something's happened mafia wise, because he's never given me any reason to believe that this is normal behavior for him. But I guess good for Poppy for standing up for herself, but I'm still kind of like, I don't get why you're so mad.
I think she thought everything was okay with him because he called her. Right? Because he ended up, he like called Gyu and he didn't answer, but he called Poppy. And Poppy answered, right? And then that's when she was like, and then hung up on him. And so I think she was like, oh, I mean, like if he can call her, I think she thought, oh, he can call me, everything's okay.
Yes, in the previous episode, she was nervous, right? About, or not the, maybe not the previous episode, but where she's thinking Tora might be in danger. And now that he called her, she's like, oh, well, he's clearly not in danger. So I
mean, I guess she didn't really give him a chance to explain himself, but I also understand like she wasn't in the mood to hear. So I do like the fact that she thought to herself, oh, you know, there must be a reason and it's probably work related. So she did have that in her mind, but that was, you know, meant intellectual rather than emotional. Emotionally, she's very hurt. But also, Brianna, I think you might just be exceptionally understanding and lenient, you know.
I guess what's so interesting to me is that she picked up, like if she wasn't in the mood to hear his explanation or talk to him, I just would have not answered if I was still that angry. And then if I wanted an explanation, wanted to talk, I would have given him. But that's obviously me and not Poppy. But I guess I don't understand the just like picking up to just hang up.
Maybe you wanted him to know she's mad.
She did. That could be it.
You can't just let him guess. Like, well, maybe she's asleep. Maybe she's busy. No, he's got to know she's mad.
She did it.
Maybe she was hoping to hear like, Puppy, I'm so sorry. And when the first thing he was like, oh, are you okay? Like maybe she felt like, okay, like he didn't even try at the very first beginning. Maybe he should have tried.
Yeah, the first words out of his mouth weren't like, I'm so sorry, I didn't pick you up 3 hours ago.
Oh Lord. Oh my God.
Poor girl. I think I'm the next section.
Yes.
Poppy's in the car. Okay, so Tora drives away on the highway, and then we switch over to Poppy. She's in the taxi, right? She got into the taxi because she missed the bus in the previous episode. So we see her thought bubble, fool me twice, shame on me. And she's looking all pensive and thinking, maybe hanging up on him was a little harsh, but I'm too wound up to have a proper conversation with him right now. And I don't want to lash out at him in a moment of anger. I think she kind of already did that, but okay.
A little bit, yeah.
I guess it could have been worse.
I think that's really smart though. I know like when I was a kid, my mother always used to say that if she gets to the point where she's dropping things, she knows she has to go to bed. And it's that kind of like self-regulation that I think is so smart. So usually my husband and I, like our arguments are pretty decent and we don't get too heated, but like last week we were having an argument. I was like, okay, at some point I realized it was very unproductive and we were just saying nasty things. And
yeah, exactly. You have to realize there's a point where you just have to walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
goodbye,
old
we'll
saying,
talk later.
like, yes, exactly. Like the old saying of like, don't go to bed angry. Tried that for a while. If you're too wound up and too angry, it's not going to be productive. It's better to just walk away. So then everybody has a chance to cool off. So I think that's what Poppy is doing. And then she goes, you see her looking at her phone. I'll text him when I get home that I'd like to talk to him about this in person. And then she's looking out at the skyline. The thing is, I've been through far worse with jewelry. Yeah, girl, you have. So why is this hitting me so hard now? Is it because it feels like the most vulnerable parts of myself had just been exposed, only to be scattered all over the place and trampled on? And I kind of had to read that part a couple of times over. I was like, what exactly is she talking about? The fact that they were just in the closet and she meant literally the parts of her exposed, like her chest exposed. Is that what you guys think she's
That's how I read it too. And the fact that, you know, she decided to start taking a chance on him by asking him out to coffee, and then it went downhill from there.
Well, and she's talked about her mom leaving and her dad dying and how Julia treated her, and Jewelry himself talks about how she never let him in, and it seems like I remember Jewelry making a comment about, not the exact words, but like she kind of keeps him at arm's length.
Yeah.
And so she's letting Tora in physically and emotionally because she obviously never really went anywhere physically with Jewelry. And if she's also keeping him at arm's length, and then she goes with Tora and they're going way further physically, way further emotionally, then that's probably why this is so much more wounding.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that it's in addition to the emotional stuff, which she was pretty vulnerable with Tora over the past couple of weeks. I think that what you said, Lily, that she just exposed herself in the closet, because right afterwards she thinks, I literally just did that, and she gets all embarrassed, she gets red, and she's like stuffs her hand in her wallet. I think she is thinking about how she just like exposed herself to him, and right after that, he dumped her.
No, you're right, because the emphasis is on the literally. So that I literally just exposed myself and got trampled on. And poor Poppy, you know, she's, you know, she didn't go further with jewelry that we know of, and that resulted in just a train wreck of her being cheated on. And now she's like, okay, now I go this far, and then he dumps me at a coffee shop and runs off. And then she goes, FML, which we know stands for fuck my life, and that ridiculously good looking sleazeball. And I laughed out loud at this because Tora is many things, but I don't think he's ever once been called a sleazeball by anybody ever in the fandom.
In the fandom, yeah. I feel like Quincy would call him that, but
yeah, exactly. You know, she's mad. You know, she's mad when she's calling him a sleazeball. And then she goes, and even if he didn't mean to hurt me, isn't this too much power to be handing over to a single person? Which that was really interesting too. That she,
I think, I mean, I think that's the difficulty and the best part about relationships is that when you let someone in, you both have that amazing, incredible close connection, but that person also has the most power to hurt you. The person who knows you the best and that's closest to your heart can wound you in the best ways. So it's the danger and the danger and the gold of relationships.
And I think too, it's Poppy dealing with having boundaries for the first time too, because with jewelry, there were no boundaries. It feels almost like if she tried to have boundaries on how she wants to be treated in the relationship, he would, you know, get on his gaslighting, high horse, emotional manipulation. And so now she's trying to set up boundaries and then maintain them. So even though her feelings for Tora are growing, she doesn't want to go back to being treated, you know,
trampled on. Exactly. Being trampled on all over. No, I think she's realizing how much power she gave jewelry. I don't think she realized how much power jewelry had over her, or how much power she let jewelry have over her until she was out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's realizing that. And then she goes on to say pretty much exactly that, because after what happened with jewelry, I'm terrified that I'll unknowingly repeat the same mistake again. So she's terrified that the same thing is going to happen with Tora, even though she's head over heels. And then it pans over to her apartment complex. And I think you're next, Emily.
Yes. Oh, one thing before we leave this panel, I thought it was interesting how when Poppy's talking about power and the power and maybe that Tora has over her, I feel like Tora also has those same thoughts about Poppy in a way, that she has a lot of power over him and maybe he's hesitant about what that looks like and what that looks like in their future.
I think Tora is even more scared of the power that Poppy has over him than the power that Poppy thinks Tora has over him. That
I mean,
yes.
When they were in Moonbright, I mean, he was dropping a love confession in his head already. You know, I mean, now he's backpedaled a little bit, I think, on it, but still, that's a huge realization to come to, even if you backpedal from it a little bit.
Yeah. And he freaked out because in the office, he started saying like, oh, this is just a schoolboy crush. I mean, he's trying to convince himself that it's just a crush because he's so terrified of how much power
exactly
Poppy's giving him.
Have you guys ever seen Rocky?
No.
It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but this just made me think of it. There's a part in the movie where he meets like his love interest, and his coach basically tells him to knock it off, and they go through this whole bit about women make the legs weak. And so you can't be in a relationship and be a boxer because women make your legs weak. And so then there's this whole scene of Rocky like punching the punching bag. Women make the legs weak. Women make the legs weak. And I think this is kind of similar with Torrid. This is like, so this whole inner monologue he's having with this is just a schoolboy crush and all that. That's his whole women make the legs weak. And it's the same thing.
I mean, that's why he's avoided a relationship so far.
Completely.
Okay, I'll save my next comment for when it's over because it'll be a spoiler.
Okay, so then we're back at Poppy's apartment. She's walking through the gate. The taxi dropped her off. And then the next panel, she's thinking, it's Gyu's shift today again, isn't it? I'll go say hi to. And then the panel cuts to Gyu passed out sleeping in his little guard office. Which poor Gyu, he probably works, what, 5-10 jobs, and now he's working in an apartment complex. The boy is being run like through the mud.
No, I wish I could go through the comic and just like hand him money and be like, you don't need to do this.
I know. Poor baby.
You don't need to have these many jobs.
And night shift sucks. I did it for years. It's the worst.
Yeah,
poor you.
And she's thinking to herself, he's asleep, poor guy. He's been doing so many night shifts in a row, he must be exhausted. I'll make him some chicken soup tomorrow. So again, poor little Gyu, he's just working so hard. Night shifts in a row, that sounds awful. How is he even still walking? I don't know.
And Poppy is so thoughtful and considerate, wanting to make him soup. That is so sweet.
And I was wondering, do you think Poppy is suspicious at all of how suddenly Gyu became her guard attendant at the complex? Where now she knows he's friends with Tora and Quincy, all of a sudden now he's at her complex. I don't know. Like I feel like got the job.
I feel like Poppy's super bright and she puts things together, but we haven't seen that thought or monologue in the comic.
Yeah. But maybe it's like crossed her mind.
Yeah,
like,
I think
he's here now. He's friends with Tora and Quincy.
I think she's probably thought about it.
Or if you think back to the party, I don't think, I mean, maybe it wasn't written, but he already knew even like upon meeting her that he was her new guard person.
Oh, right.
So there wasn't.
Oh, yeah, because he checked code on your phone or something.
Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there was never a moment of like, oh, you live at whatever apartment. I'm the new guard there. It was like, I'm the guard of your apartment building, even though you didn't tell me which apartment building. Not suspicious at all.
I think she, okay, maybe I don't remember, but my memory as of now is that I think she saw him already there. I don't know, but I guess I can go back.
Yeah, she saw him at the complex. Then she's recognized him at the party.
Oh, right. And she said like, oh, you're our new guard. Or
yeah, she recognized him there, but she either did it together because she was too obsessed with how amazing Tora looked in that leather jacket.
That night. She was too distracted by the
She was too distracted to put it together.
Distracted by the leather jacket.
By that point too.
And if you think about it, that party was like literally like last weekend. I mean, a couple of days ago.
It's only been a week, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
I know that, but I always forget it.
Because Moonbright was the start of the week, right? And now this is Friday, right? I think it's Friday, maybe.
I thought it was midweek.
I think it's midweek.
Oh,
okay.
Because it was a couple of days since the weekend.
Didn't she or like, because it was the whole thing of like them not texting each other. Like he kept looking at his phone.
Oh,
and she was sleeping. That was the beginning of the week. So I think it's Wednesday or
okay, got it. Okay, so it's even been like fewer days.
Yeah. This girl is having a crazy drama-filled life right now.
No, like, can we give her a spa day or something?
Yeah. I vote we give Poppy a spa day.
Spa day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. So then the panel shows Poppy walking off while Gyu is sleeping, and his phone is buzzing, and we know that's Tora. And so she's walking into her apartment complex, and all in the background, it just very quickly fades to black. And we have a shot of her roof, and if you zoom in the middle, there is rope on the roof. Which I think is when everyone.
Did you guys catch that the first time?
Yeah, I did.
I did. I normally miss so many details the first read through, but I noticed that right away. I was like, oh my God, what is this rope? What is this?
I kept zooming in, like, is there anything else up there? Like, is there a shadow of a person or something? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I scrolled back to look afterwards after the episode. I was like scrutinizing that. But yeah, it's so ominous. Everything is like in dark blues, dark colors, and it is, there's no, usually the building is like, you know, it's, I mean, we've seen it often in sunset, and it's orange and warm and glowing, and now it's so somber and ominous.
And austere. It's very anxiety inducing. So there is rope on the roof, red alert. And then it cuts to Gyu again. He's still sleeping and his phone is buzzing. And then the next panel, we see Tora now has entered the complex, and he's walking towards Gyu, and I guess he hits the door, or he opens the door and he says, "Get up." And poor Gyu is jolted awake saying, "Big bro, like what? Why are you? I fell asleep." Do you curse on? Are you allowed to curse on the podcast? I don't.
Yeah.
He says, "Fuck, I fell asleep." And Tora asks, "Is she home?" Gyu, he seems a little nervous. He's stuttering a little bit, saying, "Shit, sorry, I didn't notice. She should be home by now, though." Elrond's last update.
You know what? What do you think? The fact that he's using Elrond instead of Brian.
Someone we haven't met yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like between the two of them, they would use the real name.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that until
maybe one of the unnamed thuglets is Elrond. And I think it's Tora saying the lights. And he's looking up at the building again and at her balcony. And again, it's very ominous and austere, and you just have like this feeling of dread that something bad is about to happen. And Gyu asks Tora, "What is it?" And Tora is again looking at the balcony, and then this time the light flickers on and off. And Tora immediately says, "I'm going up, scan the compound." Gyu says, "On it, I'll get you her keys." So Tora clearly, I mean, with the light flickering on and off, he's like, something is happening.
Yeah, he looks nervous.
Yeah.
Which
he's in like mafia mode now.
Yeah. And you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess the flickering light could be like a distress signal. You know, it's a way of alerting people. Normally, like you want the light on, you turn it on. You want the light off, you turn it off. It's weird to flicker it. It's like,
I know that gave me so much anxiety in that panel, because I was like, wait, why is the light flickering? I don't think there's
like, what does it symbolize?
Yeah, because I thought maybe, okay, wait, what we can, theories when we get further in. I'm like,
oh, there are plenty of theories.
Oh my God, I have so many. Okay.
And again, so now Tora's walking through her hallway, and it's very cold. Like you can almost imagine the silence in this hallway. Very cold and gray. And then he's turning, he's opening the door. And when does my turn cut off? I don't remember.
Whenever you want. I can take over here a little bit later.
Okay, Mindy, you can take over since this is like a whole new sequence now.
Okay, so we entered the apartment, and I have to say, the first time I read this, I thought it was his imagination, because the apartment, the walls especially, look a lot more dingy and like mold streaked than they did before. And I know Poppy mentioned that her apartment is moldy, but every single other time we've been in her apartment, it's been warm, it's been brown, it's been gorgeous, it's been so cozy. And you come in and it looks, and we know the lights are off, I guess, but it looks so somber and so like a little apocalyptic. So I thought it was his imagination seeing the worst. And then I was like, I read it, I was like, no, it's actually happening. I was like, what?
Like, this is not a drill.
Yes, I was like, I really thought it was his imagining thing.
So and his stuff's all over the floor.
Right. So yes, so that's the thing. So we know Poppy's a little messy. So again, I wasn't sure the first time. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, wait, is this her being messy, or is this a struggle?
Yes, exactly. He opens it, he's serious, he sees her keys. So that means that she's home, or she came in. And he's very quiet. You know, he steps. It looks like he took off. Okay, so it looks like he took off his shoes, right? I can't tell because
I think he did, because I didn't notice that until somebody pointed that out on Patreon, and I was like, I think he took off.
Yeah, he toed off his shoes, I think, to just make sure there's no extra noise when he's walking through her apartment.
So she was suspicious, like right away. And it looks like he's trying to step quietly, and then he slides open the door, and yes, and there's stuff all over the floor. So my first thought was like, oh my gosh, a struggle. But then I was like, maybe I'm just hyping myself out. Maybe it's just she's being messy. And yes, and everything's just like blue and serious. And it's like, what happened to Poppy's apartment? It was so nice, like it was so cozy. But then, we go further in and then we see his little legs, sticking out. Okay. Theoretically, maybe he's just sitting down on her porch, fine. But then we see she has her hands bound and she has a knife in her hands. Yes. And
I squeal like this was so scary.
Yes. And there's like clothing on the floor. Her hamper is down there, and the hamper that maybe still has the sweater, the Superman sweater. And we focus in on the knife, and she's just like brandishing it. And then you see her, and her mouth is bound and her hands are bound. And she's looking, she is wide-eyed, but she still has that knife firmly in her hands. And Tora says the line that many people love. He's like, good girl.
Including me.
Yeah, okay. Raise your hand if you were swooning at this line. Okay. Oh, well.
Praise kink initiated.
Right? I know. So many comments like, oh, I didn't know what that was, and now I know I have it.
Yes. So I had the opposite reaction, and I was literally ranting about it with my husband. But my husband knows already. I hate when people tell me what to do. I hate being infantilized. I hate the whole I don't know. For me, it's the opposite. Like I know when I was a little kid, you know how people dream of the prince coming to rescue them. I always dreamed about me rescuing the prince. Like in my dreams, Aladdin was hanging off of a cliff, and I was like, "I'll rescue you, Aladdin. I'll get you. I'm coming." I was.
Oh my gosh, Mindy's like, I'm saving myself, a la Ever After.
Yeah,
doing it myself.
So I get irritated. I have the opposite. I'm like, good girl. I'm like, I'm not a girl. I'm your equal. What do you mean, good girl? Of course I can do this. Whatever. I'm obviously not seriously irritated, but it doesn't turn me on. Let's just say that.
What I want to know is how Poppy was able. I mean, I'm assuming probably next episode or at some point we'll see her point of view on what happened. But I'm so curious. Does she have knives hidden all over her apartment? Were they hidden in her shorts? I don't know. Where did the knife come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how did she get to the floor? Because it doesn't look like her feet are bound. But why did he just push her? And is that how she got down there? Did she nick him? Because we do see.
Well, yeah, I think she probably went forward to nick him and then fell backward.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, it's also weird. Yeah, where did she get the knife from? It's
is that the kitchen? The kitchen right before the balcony? So maybe she just grabbed it. She cut it out.
Probably her bedroom right before. What it looks like.
I thought it was maybe an extension of her balcony, not outdoors, but maybe kind of an indoor balcony or indoor patio or something.
Wait, no, you're right. The kitchen is
I'm trying to remember from the first episodes where we're in her apartment where she cooks for Tora. I don't know where the kitchen is in relation to. Wasn't it close to the balcony?
Yeah, I think the kitchen does lead into the balcony.
Maybe.
Right.
So maybe the struggle led to, if we're assuming there's a struggle, it led to the kitchen because she's trying to grab a knife and she grabbed a knife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whew. How did she get into that situation? How did this person?
You need a layout of her apartment.
Exactly.
The schematics of her apartment.
Yeah, you know who would know? Shirin from Caesar Fix, because she made a lot of Sims videos of her apartment.
Oh, really?
Did she?
Got every detail, yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
If we go to her channel, she has a video of her apartment. So yes, we can go there for reference. Also, we could go to the episode, but yeah. But yeah, I'm very curious, and I hope the next episode we'll see what she did and how she got to the situation. And what happened.
Hope so.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you see the guys. Tora starts taking out his gun, and you see the guy's right hand has been sliced in his palm, and he thinks to himself, "It's just a graze, but you bought us some time." And Poppy looks very, very intent. Unsurprisingly, she seems like she still has her wits about her. She hasn't, collapsed of nerves or fear. She seems very focused. And Tora is sweating. He's like, "You're doing an effing amazing job, sweetheart." Aw, that did touch me.
I wonder if him praising Poppy, even though obviously she can't hear it, but I wonder if that's even a way to calm him down. To stay
talk through it. Yeah,
talk through it, because I mean that little bead of sweat, he's obviously very tense. with what's happening right now. Because isn't it his nightmare coming to fruition that Poppy's in danger and he wasn't even there to stop it or to prevent it? So this is like his nightmare coming true.
And if he had picked her up on time, this probably wouldn't be happening. Yeah, he was like thinking he's protecting her by running after Gil, and meanwhile the danger just went into her apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like hanging there for me, and he's focusing his gun just a little bit more, and he's focusing it through the bedroom onto the porch, and we see through this little window a person with a mask on, and it's a hockey mask, is it, or something?
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like a hockey mask, I think.
Yeah, it's it's funny because I do Purple Hyacinth also, so my first thought was like, I think the leader has a mask like this. I don't know, it's definitely creepy, that's all.
It's a messenger.
And yeah, so he's trained. We see Tora through that little panel there, but now unfortunately he steps on a floorboard and it creaks, and the person sees him, looks through the window, sees him. Tora's like shit, and the guy runs. Now I was actually thinking, I was like, Tora can really pop a shot fast, like he's a sniper. Do you think there was a reason he didn't want to shoot him?
That is the question of the hour, because the first time I read it through, I thought he recognized the mask or something. Like I knew that there was the creak, and I think when he saw the I don't know, like that was my first initial thought. But when I read it through again, I was like, okay, well maybe not, because he didn't want to cause a disturbance. And it was just the creak. But now I keep debating and going back and forth, because I was reading a lot of the like fast Facebook comments, and some people were saying like, oh no, he didn't want to like shoot him to cause a disturbance because everybody will rush over to Poppy's apartment and they'll be questioned, and Tora will be questioned. Like there's no way if he rings shoots, everybody in the complex is going to hear it. There's no way out of that.
Like, why did he take a gun out? To threaten him? To what was he planning on doing? Saying like, stop or I'll shoot?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because Poppy's life was in danger. Like if he thought that, like if he had to make the shot, if the guy was gonna like go for Poppy. But I mean, I don't know.
And I don't know, maybe he also didn't want to shoot. I don't know, maybe he wanted the guy alive to ask questions and to figure out who he is and like who sent him there. I don't know. So maybe he, I don't know, was hesitant to shoot him just so he could gain more information later.
That's what I thought. That's what I was assuming.
I'm curious because he could see his head, but Torres should be skilled enough with weapons that he should have been able to like guesstimate. Because if this is like the classic like Asian style screen, he would have been able to be like, okay, there's his head. So if I aim here, I should be able to hit some torso through the screen. And then the other thing is, if you look at the next panel, after he's like, oh shit, and the guy starts climbing off the balcony, Tora could have 100% run and shot at the same time. I have no doubt that he has that capability. And so I don't know if he was going to attempt to like get closer with the gun and then use it to get the guy to be like, whoa, like to stop, you know what I mean?
I don't know. We know he's that skilled because of like in the first season, right? Whenever he's supposed to go kill those guys in the opposing clan for Vincent, but then he doesn't, and it's all over the news that he like nicked them. And it was all over the news that he made like expert shots.
Yeah.
Like
So
a crazy distance. It was like another building or something.
Windy,
So there's a reason. Like there's definitely a reason he didn't shoot him.
Which the recognizing him theory, that would be a pretty cool theory. Which I suppose
I think he does. I have a gut feeling he knows that mask or something. He's got a gut like suspicion.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so I'm not. I guess it doesn't look like the kitchen from here. We also see that painting. I don't know.
Her,
I'm a little confused.
Her easels are not down behind her.
Yeah, it looks like it's the easel, right? So anyway, the guy is climbing up the roof, which when we theorize about who this guy is, or girl, I guess, But who this person is, they're clearly limber. They're just like climbing up. And Tora's running, and we have a slide. So some people are like opening up their porches, and they're like, hey, what's with all that stamping up there? There's a man climbing up the building. Okay, I guess they assume it's a man. So probably looks like a man, probably is a man. And, it's causing a hullabaloo. And you're like, suck. Is that a burglar? Get security. So let's, forget security. Call the cops. I'm telling Mrs. Haru about this. Probably not good for cops and Tora to be mixed. I don't know. And Poppy, meanwhile, she unties herself, which is strange. Her hands were tied up, but I guess it wasn't done that well. I mean, she clearly untied herself really fast and, untied her bonds.
How did she do that?
Yeah, I guess the guy didn't really tie her up very well, because it looks like already in an earlier panel, maybe with a knife, because it looks like in where it says slide, I think her hand is already.
Oh, I think she's trying to like. Well, her mouth was bound, so she's like trying to bite the wrist restraints.
Yeah, it could be. Whatever it is, it wasn't done super well, that was for sure. So the person was maybe not that experienced or being very fast when he tied her up. But we'll see, yeah. And Tora's like, Bobby. And other people are like, hello, Mrs. Haru, we just saw a burglar. I don't know, he came out of the unit above us. And Bobby's like, right? And her teacher says snark attack, and she looks like she's panicking. Before that, she was focused and she was intent, but now she looks like she's finally, gone. Like she's letting herself feel the fear because Tora's here.
And the juxtaposition of like her emotions and then her cute little PJs, I'm just like, my heart went out to Poppy. Like, oh
my gosh. Yeah.
Did you guys notice her ankle looks bruised too?
Yeah, I think her ankle is bruised on like her left.
I mean, it looks like it, especially compared to the other one. So I'm like, is that how the guy grabbed, how the burglar grabbed her first, like grabbed her ankle and then she tripped? Like that was kind of my first.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's also, by the way, I just noticed the palette behind her, right? So right near the easel, I just noticed the palette. Looks like a colors.
Maybe it's like a little, like her little studio or something.
Yeah. So who do we think the intruder is?
Poppy's mom.
I was waiting for someone to say her mom.
I was waiting for somebody to say Poppy's mom.
It has to be said.
It would be
doing a disservice. Okay. Let's hear everybody's most likely candidate. Brianna, who do you think?
So I had like a mini theory that it was jewelry because he wanted to scare her into moving back to Moonbright. Like, oh, the city's so scary. There's burglars. You should just move back here to the small town where you're safe. But I don't think that he would be physically capable. They've never detailed his physical capabilities.
No, he's a potato farmer. I don't think he can climb 5-story
buildings.
Right. So I talked myself out of that theory pretty quickly. I think Lily will end up making this come completely out of left field. And it's going to be like somebody we haven't even considered. I almost am wondering if it's a Vincent guy, because Vincent's been on the back burner for a while. And then in the last 2-3 episodes, we've seen Tora, like Vincent's voice coming back in his head. And so I'm almost wondering if that's foreshadowing that Vincent has found out about the journal and he sent somebody. He's like, well, obviously Tora's not getting it from me, so I'm going to send somebody myself. And that's Tora's worst fear, is Vincent finding out about her.
Okay. Emily, what do you think?
Wow. I have multiple theories and I go back and forth between all of them. I mean, the unease in this episode had me even suspicious of the taxi driver at one point. Just because I don't know. I am suspicious of most people. I also was wondering if it could just be an unknown affiliate of Gil that we haven't met yet, because there was a little clue at the beginning of the episode that Gil left Naren City. He's somewhere out of the city, and maybe the guy was kidnapping Poppy to take him to Gil, where there aren't any security cameras and where Tora and his team, like the trail went cold on where Gil went. So I didn't know if it was that, because also Gil, the guy knew her address, and I'm assuming Gil knows her address through the company. I don't know, I feel like it is related to Gil. And also it makes me think that he chose a very specific night because he knew maybe Poppy wasn't home yet, so he could hide in her apartment. So that also makes me think maybe they've been watched for a while. I don't know. But then I also am thinking it could be Yodori, that guy from like the pool hall.
Yeah, because he said ski mask.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what made me think that Tora, that's like kind of my theory, but I don't know how much water it holds, because there was that whole scene where he's like, ski mask, boom, get it. Let me know, big bro. And then Tora beats the, living daylights out of him. And so I was like, is this Yodori's thing? He goes around and, with a ski mask, like that's his, I don't know. Like, is that Poppy? And
so far with like Lily's storytelling, I don't know, I think it's significant that she even gave this guy Yodori a name. Like call back to maybe. So I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, she's really good at callbacks, so I don't know if this one is.
Yeah, where maybe most people might have forgotten Yodori at this point, and now he'll like come full swing, just like
we never forget.
Yeah.
Just like the guy from season 1 who, what was his name? I already forgot his name, but he came back in season 2 with the suit.
Oh my God, Joker guy.
Yeah. But he has a name. What was his name? His name was very, oh gosh, it was very like, it was a very classy name. It was like.
That's not Claude, is it?
No,
Daniel Theodore. Oh my gosh, it was some very classy name. Like not something.
Right, so like he was in season 1 and you might not think he's important, and then he came back right away in season 2.
that's kind of my leading theory, is that it's Yodori or one of Joker guys, whatever his name is. We need to figure this out. Right. Because of that whole, like, he knows about the notebook and all of that. And then there was the whole altercation with Poppy, and like, she was with what, Ben? They had that whole,
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, he has a motive for revenge, and then if he finds out that she has the notebook or has connections to the notebook,
right? And if it is him, and he just confirmed that Tora knows her because he saw Tora in her apartment, that kind of sets everything for him. What about you, Lily?
Yeah, so I think the top contenders, because of course I went through everything. I was like, I don't, okay, so we'll go through the list. I don't think it's jewelry. I don't think he's got the connections even to hire someone. I don't think it's him. He's a stand-up comic. He cannot scale walls like Spider-Man. I don't think it's Gil himself. They said he was out of the city. I think it's possible he could have hired someone, but I think that the whole monologue of Tora saying that, they lost his trail, he's out of the city, I think it's leading us in a direction that it's actually not Gil related. I think this is Lily totally throwing something from another side. I think that the point of like kind of this arc is to show how many dangers Poppy is in. So not just Gil, like Gil is a danger, and then there's going to be another danger that I think is mafia related. And it could be like a rival clan. I think it's top contenders are Joker guy or somebody affiliated with him, Yodori, or how do you say his name? Sarch?
Yeah. Shark. I think it's Shark.
Shark. I don't know his name either.
Yeah, because I mean, like, he's got motive too. Tora is not his favorite person.
And some people have theorized that, first of all, because his name is Shark, he might be related to Gil. They also
they could be brothers or cousins or something. A lot of people are saying they're related. So that could connect the theories too, that like Gil could have hired Shark to do.
And it would make sense because, Gil had that whole shady business. It makes sense that he would have had people working with him. And Gil, Shark seems to be in charge of the pawn shop. So he probably has some other stuff going on. So if that theory can go, it can work.
That's a good connection. I hadn't thought of that, but that feels like it holds a lot of weight.
And somebody in the comments, I will credit them because I can't count, I'm not that smart, but somebody said that Shark was an MMA fighter. Where was that mentioned in the comments?
No, Claude said that actually.
I think it's Claude, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, Claude is, yeah. Because somebody was saying like, yeah, they were trying to figure out like who has the physical capability to scale walls like that.
Well, MMA fighters would know how to fight, not necessarily scale walls, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Claude.
I
So
was reading, I went through all of the Patreon comments before we started talking. Does
I
anyone,
still have another I have more theories too.
oh,
But
okay,
yeah.
great. Does anyone think it could be Goliath?
Yes, that's what I want to talk about.
Okay,
So
great.
it wasn't what originally occurred to me, but when I read people mentioned that. Okay, so here's what I think. We know that Goliath, obviously, he's the originator of the Notebook, right? He disappeared. Last time we saw him, he was in the jungle, but we don't know where he is. But I think it could stand to reason that he would want to try to retrieve the Notebook back, right? Because he's the one who lost it. And through whatever means he found out that it was at Poppy's apartment. And I think he would have tried to retrieve it. Now, for the fact that Poppy got out of her bond so easily, I don't think Poppy was meant to be hurt. It could be that he went to look for the Notebook, was surprised to find her there, like he probably meant to find it without her, and then he, just had to tie her up so she would like let him look for it. And maybe that's part of the reason there was a mess, because he was looking for her Notebook. And that could also explain why as soon as he sees Tora, he runs, because obviously he knows Tora and he doesn't want to get Tora hurt. He just wants to get out of there. And also, I'm looking at the stature of this guy. He doesn't look too big. And we know Goliath is a small fellow. And that could also explain, maybe, Tora does recognize him. I don't know. He probably doesn't recognize him through the thing. But if he wore a mask like that, maybe that, could signify it. And maybe that's why he didn't shoot, because he knows him.
That could be why the guy's wearing gloves. Because Goliath
Yes,
has all those hand tattoos.
Oh,
tattoo, yes.
Yes. I can't remember. Does Goliath have neck tattoos?
Okay, let's go back to episode 10.
I was looking at all the panels of the burglar guy, and you see a panel of the side of his neck, and there's nothing there. You don't see a clan symbol. You don't see anything. And he also looks, it could be the moonlight or whatever it is, because Tora looks really fair-skinned in those panels too, but that guy looks really fair-skinned to be Goliath.
But if you look at this panel, it looks like he's wearing like a turtleneck. But I agree, he does look fair-skinned, and I think Goliath has a similar tone to Tora.
Yeah, but I'm
that was my first thought.
Okay, so I'm looking back to find the picture of Goliath. Okay, no, I don't think Goliath has anything. He has on his chest the dragon, and he has obviously the ace, but he doesn't appear to have anything on his neck.
Yeah, because we see that panel where like Tora is shooting through the like little, we see him like in the background, we see the right side of his, the right side of his neck. And there's nothing there.
It's funny because another reason I'm like wanted to be Goliath is because I'm impatient to see Goliath already. Like I want to be introduced to him and see what he's all about. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let it be Goliath. but yeah,
here's my thing with Goliath. What we know about Goliath is that he was so brilliant that everybody wanted him to be the head of his clan. Like he was the head of, I don't know, do we know the name of it? I can't remember the name of the clan or whatever they get from. If he wants the Notebook or suspected that Poppy is the Notebook, I don't think he himself, I don't think it could be Goliath, but maybe it's not him. Maybe it's Goliath sending someone. I don't think he would do the dirty work.
The very first episode, Goliath was so deep in crap, he called Tora for help. So I think if he's gotten out of the jungle, gotten away from whoever was chasing him, and he's that desperate for that Notebook back, I feel like he would be calling Tora again. Be like, hey man, like you remember when I called you? Like I messed up.
I'm alive.
You know what I mean? I need to figure out what happened to this. Like, did you come for me and did you see anything? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like because he already had called him for help, he would have called him again. Because I don't see, it would just be weird. If he was so deep in it that he lets everybody think that he's dead, I don't think he would be going around asking questions about like his notebook that's supposed to be a secret. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I lost something, but don't ask me what it is. I think that would be too, he'd be letting everybody into his business.
Yeah, I also don't think that he would call call someone to do it for him, because I feel like right now he's in a lot of trouble, and he probably wants to keep his profile really low, not let anyone know he's there.
That's true.
I don't know, but I mean, all the theories that you guys have, I mean, they're all plausible.
I was wondering too, like, is there a possibility there was a second person on the roof holding the rope?
Ooh, good one.
I don't know.
Yeah, because where would he have tied it? Okay, wait, now I feel like
he's like walking around. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
There's like a washing machine out there. Like there's stuff to tie it to.
Yeah. So is the rope there to help him escape? To help him. What is he going to do when he's on the roof? Why is he going up?
That's what I was just thinking. Can't Tora go after? He has to get down.
Yeah.
And he's climbing up. Tora should just run up there, shoot the guy.
Oh goodness. Well, oh my gosh. I mean, like, we just have to wait till the next week. It's like, what's going to happen?
I don't want to wait.
Yeah. But,
yeah, exactly. Fast pass. That's what we need right now.
Is he expecting a helicopter to come and like swoop him away?
He's gonna if it's Goliath, he's just gonna jump off the building like he did in that scene in the jungle where he's like jumping off that cliff. Apparently he's got amazing parkour abilities, I guess.
His abilities.
When he's got Gil lapping the building, all of the neighbors are out there, you know, rubbernecking. And so I would be very surprised if this guy gets away, because if he is going up, all the neighbors are going to be out in the hallway gossiping. So they're going to see him come down, and then there's going to be Gil seeing him. So it'll be interesting. But I think there's going to be a bit. I think there'll be a bit about Tora looking away. So he could have caught the guy, but he looks over at Poppy, and so I feel like that's going to be a thing about. I could have caught the guy, but I was worried about Poppy. Like, do I get the guy? Do I get Poppy? Do I get the guy? Do I get Poppy? Like,
he's too focused on Poppy and her well-being to go after the guy, I think.
And then if the guy does get away, we're gonna circle back to women make the legs weak again.
I agree. It's gonna scare him. I mean, the whole reason he didn't want to get with Poppy was because he was like, "Oh, I'm going to put her in danger. I can't do it to her." And that's exactly what happens. I mean,
his worst fears
came true.
Came true. So here's my question. I keep going back and forth on it, and I don't know what Lily's going to do, but do you think that this is going to bring them closer? Like they're going to have like the talk that we've been waiting for God knows how long now, for Tora to explain everything and them to just get everything out on the table? And do you think it'll bring them closer, or do you think Tora is going to have a massive freak out and like air quote end things with Poppy for a while?
It could go any way, because it depends. I think it depends partly on where Poppy reacts, because if she immediately sees this as a mafia thing, she's going to be like, this is because of you. My own home isn't safe now because of you. You need to get out of my life. So that's a possibility.
Unless the Poppy being in the mafia thing comes into play. I saw somebody comment about that. We still don't know anything about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Comment.
I don't know. I could picture if this gears him up to have, you know, the main conversation that we've been waiting for to have with Poppy, I could see her being upset at him and maybe Erdine and Jacob as well, that, you know, her life is in danger, something bad happened and no one told her, you know? I feel like maybe on Poppy's side, I could picture her being upset, and it's completely valid, her being upset and angry that, you know, no one told her this was happening.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You should be upset. I would be furious.
Yeah.
Every right to be upset.
I don't get it. Erdine's like, oh, I don't want her to be worried. Like,
no, tell me. So maybe on Poppy's side, maybe she'll be the one to, I don't know, maybe if she goes the route of like distancing her, like if they go the route of distancing, maybe it's Poppy wants to distance a little bit. I don't know.
That's gonna be difficult if he wants to like be with her 24/7 or protect her, and she's
gonna
be like,
he'll
get out of my face.
He'll be like, move out, move into a safe house, you know, hide away, don't step outside, like stay here for the rest of your life. Which obviously is gonna be a terrible situation. I think it might be both. I think that he might like, they'll have a conversation and tell her everything and she'll be upset. So it's a lot, it'll be a lot to take in. I mean, she obviously just had a super traumatic experience. I mean, yes, she knows like Tora wants to protect her and he'll probably say stuff like, oh, let me protect you, let me, we'll do this, we'll do that. But I'm sure she probably will want to be like, get away from me, I can't handle this, this is awful, like don't touch me, go away.
I want her to find out about the motion sensor.
Oh,
I just want, she's gonna be mad.
And he's gonna justify it and be like, well, that's why I put just a motion one and not a camera. So I'm not really invading your privacy.
No. That won't work.
I think she's gonna have a major blow up at Tora.
Yeah, I mean, she's already
mad.
Before. Yeah, like
now she's gonna be high on adrenaline.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people were theorizing this is like gonna be the secret garden ever, but I'm like, I don't think we're there yet.
No, I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think that will be more of the mad part rather than the closeness part.
Yep.
If she's mad enough now, she's not gonna be like oh, you saved me, here's my boobies, like.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. I know this is like, I'm getting like some, my heart is already racing now, but like, okay. So,
yeah, this episode had a lot.
It was so much. My heart was racing. How many days do we have to wait now?
I know.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
But like, but bless Lily for even in the most tense, anxiety-inducing episode, she still had like great butt shots of Tora.
Oh my god! Amen to that. Claps for that. Those scenes are.
Yeah, she's like, I understand you guys are very tense and probably shouting at your phone right now. Here's his butt. And
here's a butt shot. There was that one shot. I think it was from the Fast Pass group. They're like, how did he hide that gun?
I know, right? On the side of his pants.
They're painted on. Thank God they are, but.
Yep, it's like a magic gun. It's like flat and then it just unfolds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like those pop-up cards. Well, do you guys want to do the bonus question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you to my current patrons: Susie Lady Libris, Lily Jenny Haley, Maria Molly Veronica, Emily Joe Rochelle, Saucy Tuggles Meg, Anna Rose Priya, Alexa Misty Laura, Joanne Patty Jen, Emilda Esther Montague, Taurus Poppy Seed Marie Jen, Emily Jean Jen, Erin D, Kate, and Lily. Your support is truly appreciated.